Many times when we talk about the workplace and we talk about corruption out there, a lot of these things, you as younger people, as students, may think, oh, I don't know anything about that. I'm nowhere near those kind of situations. But it is good for us to resolve when you're early in life, resolve not to compromise. The world around us may challenge you and say, sleep with your boyfriend lah. Okay, some of you are young and say, no such opportunity yet. But when you're young and you resolve early in life, I will not do that. Put on a purity ring or whatever it is you decide to do, true love waits. Okay, whatever it takes, make a resolution earlier, resolve, determine not to compromise. You don't wait till the situation faces you in the face, then, what shall I do? Oh no, maybe I should, perhaps. Too late. Usually by then it's too late. If you say, I'm not going to pay a bribe to the policeman, when he stops me, whatever reason, that's good, decide now. Don't wait until hey, actually I got no wrong, Why you stop me? Aiyo, not fair leh. Oh, should I pay $300 fine? Can save $50 At that time, it's very, very tempting because the economics makes sense, right? $50 versus $300. What is there to argue about? Save $250, right? The logic is very simple. But it's when we are away from the kind of situation, we anticipate these are the challenges we will face. Pastor Daniel always reminds us, hey, you guys, guys who travel for business and for work, if you travel, resolve beforehand, determine not to compromise yourself in any way. Determine not to compromise. Our young people live in a world very similar to Babylon, lots and lots of temptations. And I encourage you, younger people, resolve, determine not to compromise. Now, don't wait. Determine not to compromise. Determine your heart and say, yes, I will not compromise. Don't say, I'll think about it. I'm proud to know that there are young people in our midst who have decided, no sex before marriage. And they hold to their commitment. And I thank God for them. There are some who have decided they will honor God in the way they live, in the decisions that they make in terms of finances. They will not choose this job, they will choose this job instead because even though that is attractive, this I can honor God with. When our young people make such choices, I feel proud. I think that's great. Because they understand that what is at stake is far more than just a cushy life. Their convictions are at stake. Their faith is at stake. Their heritage is at stake. Their identity is at stake. So determine not to compromise. We need to ask ourselves, what other compromises are we being tempted with constantly? Or you're in a position where these are the kind of compromises I'm going to be faced with. Whether you're in a bank, retail banking, whether in investment banking, whether you're the regulator, whether you're enforcement, you will have temptations. You might as well own up to it and decide, what am I going to do? Determine not to compromise. But fourthly, depend on God. Depend on God. Daniel decided he wasn't going to take the rich food from the king's table, and he was persistent. The first one he asked the big boss. The big boss said, nope, too much at risk. My head is at risk. He said, Daniel didn't give up. Daniel spoke to the smaller boss. The smaller boss said, what are you proposing? Give us 10 days. 10 days. No king's food. We just eat vegetarian diet. Can 10 days only, Okay, can. And at the end of 10 days, the smaller boss looked at them and said, wow, you guys look better than the other guys, eating those Kobe steak and, red wine and all that good stuff. You guys look better, man. Wow. Can. I will have the steak and the red wine. You all have vegetables. It's a good deal. Now, how did these guys, went on vegetables and grains, come out looking better than these other guys? I don't know. Okay? But the suggestion in the text, it has to be God. It has to be God. Because Daniel decided he would not defile himself this way. He depended on God to come through for him when they are put to the test. Because if they failed the test at the end of 10 days, eat those foods, no choice. So he depended on God. And when we make a stand for our faith and we make a stand for Christ in whatever situation you're in, the outcomes may not promise to be nice. They may not promise to be nice. When we make our stand at our jobs, we may lose our jobs. But that's where we have to believe God to come through for us, whatever the outcome. We have to depend on God. You know, I love this quote from C.S. Lewis. He said, "He who has God and everything else has no more than he who has God only." He who has God and everything else has no more than he who has God only. In other words, God is enough. God is more than enough. All the others is small change. God is enough. You know, hardships and suffering, difficult, awkward situations, testing situations, these are the situations that reveal where and who we trust, where we put our trust and whom we trust. We may say, God is great, but when we are tested, whoever is great is in our hearts will be revealed. And therefore, the challenge here is don't compromise. Determine not to compromise and then depend on God. Whatever happens, depend, trust God. And lastly, band with like-minded people. Stick around with like-minded people. We have Daniel and his 3 friends. His 3 friends are not Kelefe, okay? His 3 friends are good friends. They're there for a reason. In fact, in the next chapter, you find that Daniel goes to his friends. He needs his friends. Because in the next chapter, after hearing that the king was going to slaughter all of them, he rushed back to his home and told his 3 companions, he said, "Hey guys, we got to pray. Because if not, we're going to be dead in the morning," or something like that. And they prayed. Daniel had friends he could go to and say, "We got to do something about this." If Daniel didn't have his 3 friends, who was he going to go to? All the others were pagans that couldn't care less. He had his cell group, okay, kind of or MAG, or his discipleship group, DG, home group, or his band of brothers fellowship. He had his friends, whatever you want to call it. He had this band of brothers he could get there with and hunker down with and pray and say, "Hey, man, this is really tough. Hold me accountable. Encourage me. Help me. Remind me not to compromise. Pray together with me." They stuck together. They supported one another. We all need that. Please don't think that you can be there out on the Lone Ranger. I can do it my way. No, you can't. No, you can't. That's why we are put in the body of Christ. Band with like-minded people. Why? Because we need to be Jesus to one another, or we need someone else to be Jesus to us. There are people that right here, I'm sure, right here, there's some of you that's struggling with very difficult family problems. And you find it really hard to talk to just about anyone. Won't you wish you had a band of brothers or a band of sisters that you could just pour your heart out to and have them pray with you, encourage you, give you that phone call, give you their number and say, "Call me whenever you need me." Come on, let's do that. Because we need to be Jesus to each other. Some of you are wondering, what's life all about? I can't do it anymore. And you're thinking about a hangman's noose. You're thinking about a slit wrist. And you're contemplating suicide. "Oh, no, it doesn't happen in the UMC. No." Of course it does. Because we're normal human beings. And we all suffer in life. And some of us suffer in loneliness, abject loneliness. That's why we need our band of brothers. Okay, maybe if some of you, your cell group, I can't sit on my cell group, never mind. Then find a band of brothers, find a band of sisters, because we need each other. Band with like-minded people. Because we need to journey through life together. We're not meant to journey through life alone. Band with like-minded people.